Hey everyone, my name is Andy Harrison, and I'm currently in the MAT program, getting my specialization in physical education and health. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about how and why I modified my unit. So my unit was grades 3 through 5, and the PE content that we were covering is striking with implements. So for those of you that are non-PE, that's basically badminton, tennis, baseball, hockey, lacrosse, those kinds of sports. And what I wanted to do culturally was open up our classroom to the influence of other countries. So I wanted to make the students aware that there are other countries that play the same sports. I want to make students aware that there are other countries that play sports that are similar. And then I wanted students to be able to identify how that sport is played from the viewpoint of someone from another country. So as we move through the unit, which is 5 days or five weeks in PE terms long, they start out by identifying various countries, and then they identify the equipment and the different sports for those countries, and then they begin to take on the roles as if they were players from those countries, utilizing that equipment. And so they move through the whole process, and my goal for them was to just get a better understanding of how sports are viewed globally, how sports are viewed in different countries. I want them to understand that there may be a sport that is overwhelmingly popular in America, or the Americas, something like baseball, where it is not overwhelmingly popular, but they have a strikingly similar sport overseas, like cricket, that is extremely popular for them. And I think it's really important in terms of PE for students to develop a healthy understanding and respect for other countries, because there are a lot of times where students are going to associate with students from other backgrounds through sport and activity, where they might not always do that in a general ed classroom. So what I did was a little bit different. I know you all had a particular unit that you brought in. I kind of built mine up a little bit. I felt it was a little more comfortable for me in terms of how I wanted to get the PE content across. And so I just put together 5 separate days that built on striking with implements. So as the unit progresses, the students will ideally get a little more skillful in their ability to strike, and at the same time I wanted them to take on a little bit more depth in terms of their cultural relevancy. So you guys, my format is a little different. I gave you the bulk piece of the activity, so when you click on the URL for my document, you see the big activity. We only have 30-45 minutes, so we've only got a couple of things that we can work on, and that big activity is going to take up a large chunk of the class. And then I want to provide you with a really clear and concise cultural adaptation for each lesson underneath it. So you see where they identify the countries, and then they identify the equipment used for those countries, and then they take on the roles of those players, and then they have to, at the very end, take on the roles of multiple players from multiple countries using multiple pieces of equipment based off of the game they play. So I wanted that to be as clear cut for you all to understand as possible, and I felt like it was a good way for the students to gain knowledge about other countries and other cultures through the use of sport and physical activity. So what I didn't do, I didn't pick a particular demographic, say from Pine Valley or Bradley Creek or Gregory, because I felt like PE is a little bit different than the general ed subject areas, and I felt like that makes it a little more freeform and a little more fluid, and I felt like you could make that modification as needed depending on what class you have. And I wanted to leave that kind of open to interpretation depending on what school might be there. You could just make that call as you actually get into the school. So yeah, I hope that gives you guys a little more insight on how and why I changed the unit the way that I did. And looking forward to hearing from you guys. Thanks for listening.